Okay, so hello everyone. I hope my brain won't fry before the end of the session. The heat wave is taking a toll. Um, so I'm Guillaume Plique. I'm a research engineer working in a social sciences lab in Sciences Po in Paris. And so I'm going to speak about implementing the ForceAtlas2 graph layout algorithm in the Rust developer language. So I guess you all know what a graph is, mathematically speaking. So we have nodes on the one side and edges that links two nodes, and those edges are potentially weighted. It's another way to look at an adjacency matrix. And the usual question is, how can we project them into an arbitrary 2D space? Because sometimes we want to display them as a map so we can explore them. And sometimes we want to do that because it's a way to perform a kind of dimensionality reduction. So the idea is basically to go from this. So here you have a graph, you have nodes and edges between those nodes. And I've placed the nodes in a 2D space using random X and Y coordinates. So you got this very nice square, but it's completely unreadable. And so we want to go from this to this here. So the idea is to find an algorithm that will create a legitimate 2D space based on the topological properties of the graph. So we want basically to ensure that two nodes are close in the 2D representation if in the graph they are topologically close. So either because they are linked or because there is a very short path from node to node leading from one node to the other, right? So there are a lot of graph layout algorithms, but like at least for what I call visual network analysis, so the practice of mapping those graphs as maps, the most popular algorithms are said to be force directed, and they are basically a physics simulation. So basically you have like a lot of iteration where nodes will repulse each other as bodies in space. And then linked nodes will attract each other as if there were some kind of overstretched spring between both nodes. And then there is a gravity force that will pull everything to the center to make sure there is no offshoots that goes into the infinite. So the most known algorithm is called Furtman-Reingold, and I'm probably not pronouncing it very well. And the state-of-the-art algorithm for that is called ForceAtlas2. So the idea is to try and see what are the canonical implementations of ForceAtlas2. And I say canonical here to mean that it was basically validated by the algorithm authors. So you have a Java implementation in Gephi, which is a very popular software to perform visual network analysis. And there is an implementation in JavaScript, which is mine, and that I wrote with the algorithm authors. The issue here is that they are very slow for some purposes. So on the Java side, JVM tweaking is a pain. It's not easy to scale up. And the JavaScript version, while being very nice, has structural issues because like JavaScript is a nice languages, but it has structural performance problems. You have floats everywhere. You have no real multi-threading, at least on the browser. And the maps and the sets are limited to 24 bits addressing and so on. So you have issues there. So, and the issue I have is that I have a big network to spatialize nowadays. So I'm working on French MySpace, which is called Skyrock or Skyblogs. So French people will remember fondly this now defunct social network. And so I've got 12 million nodes and 400 million edges. And this does not cut it in Java nor JavaScript. So let's rewrite it in Rust, of course. So I published a crate, which is called FA2 for ForceAtlas2, that is open source and that everyone can install. And I will try to explain what were the challenges I had when developing this and re-implementing the algorithm in a low-level language. So the first problem I had was that I wanted the crate to be generic over float precision. So I optimized my code for F32, but I wanted people to be able to run the algorithm in F64 or any kind of precision, really. So why not F8 or F16? So I solved this using the num traits crate and the following trait-based shenanigan to make sure it works. So I guess it should be okay. Like if you have if the F8 crate is implementing the num traits traits, you should be able to run the algorithm using F8. The other issue that I had is that I wanted the algorithm to be parallel, so to be multi-threaded. And the issue here is that the algorithm is usually framed in steps, like distinct steps. So the first step is repulsion between nodes. Then nodes are attracting each other. Then you have the gravity. Then you have force application and swing tractions and so on. And when you run in parallel, you need to be able to have like a consistent task grain. And so you have to run the algorithm node-wise for it to run correctly. And usually repulsion needs like very few bookkeeping, because you are going to either use a tree or to compute a repulsion between pairs of nodes. But then if you need to have a parallel repulsion, you need to have some kind of CSR adjacent structure, so you can like hold a sparse adjacency matrix and be sure that you can track a way between one node and all the adjacent nodes, which is not usually how the algorithm is implemented. Of course, all multi-threading plumbing was done with Rayon. Then I have some issue with the infamous Amdahl's law. So usually people use pairwise repulsion for the node repulsion, which is obviously quadratic. And so if you want to optimize this, you have to use the Barnett method, which is very used in physics simulation. So you are using an adaptative quadtree to scale the repulsion back to O of n times log n. But even if the repulsion itself can be parallelized, the tree construction itself cannot, at least not easily, be parallelized. And so you have to be clever about it. Like for instance, on my graph using 64 CPUs, one iteration of the algorithms is 10 seconds, and the tree construction itself is 7 seconds, which is bonker. So I will explain how we could find ways around this later. Other problems I had to solve were to choose a memory layout, basically. So I benchmarked struct of arrays between versus arrays of structs. So SOA is usually better for cache alignment, but in the case of the tree, I found that a compromise between both memory layout was actually better. I experimented with some simmed instructions, but I found that basically everything was auto-vectorized correctly, and I did not find any way to improve the performance further using explicit simmed. And another issue that you have is that Barnett repulsion is actually branching bound, and so you can't really go further. You can't make it branchless, so you have to find ways around this also. And then I also applied, so here on the right, you should see that the Banza tree has a next sibling vector, which is an option of non-zero U size. And so here, I was actually able to leverage what Rust calls a niche optimization by reducing the size of the option. And it actually was very good because it aligned my nodes on cache lines, and it made the whole process at least 20% faster. So this is nice to know that you can do this in Rust very easily. And so the last problem I had is that usually when people want to debug the algorithm, they need to animate it. The force directed graph layouts are said to be non-deterministic. The result is dependent on how you started, and they don't have trivial stopping conditions, or at least we did not find them yet. So people usually rely on animating the layout to debug it or to know when to stop it. And here I have a very large graph. So I tried an oblique solution because 12 million nodes is too much. So I tried to render the graph in the terminal using Rust and using Braille characters. And I added a nice density gradient on top. So here I will show you some examples using Xan, which is another command line tool I developed in Rust to process tabular data. And I'm using a bash loop later on. So here you see on the left an example of the 12 million nodes graph. On the right, you have a benchmark I used to make sure that the clusters are respected when the layout is running. And here you have a GIF animation in the terminal of how I debug the algorithm. So I run the algorithms live in the terminal, and so I'm able to see if there is any shenanigan happening. Here, for instance, you have an example of those shenanigans. So this is one of the first iteration of the algorithm, and you see that there is some nodes that were like thrown very far away in the field. And so it was a nice way for me to make sure that the computations are actually correct, because there is no real way to perform convincing unit tests on this. So you can, of course, do unit tests, but they are not very indicative of whether the algorithm is written correctly. So you try to find some samples. So yeah, Rust is fast enough now. So my social network is now spatialized, albeit still ugly. So in the future, I will try to find ways to parallelize parallel bounded tree construction, and I will do a lot of things tied to n-dimensional layout. And so for this kind of task, to me, Rust is perfect to my eyes. So you have a very fine control over performance and memory usage. Parallelization is so easy. There are less foot guns, and I don't want to use C or C++. And I can't use Julia because it's one-based, and I just don't want to do that. So thank you for listening, everyone. So you have the links to the crate and the documentation here, and I leave you with this very fine piece of bounded artifact art. That's it for me. Thank you very much.